Hello, vinyl community. Headley here, another fat bearded man talking about records. It's now been, I think, 9 years since I joined in on Fred Big Star 1000's Gimme Ten series. I last did 1973. Oh, those were the halcyon days, where I did a complete country music Gimme Ten. I suppose the chances of me being able to do that again were really poor, seeing as this sort of period of country music is not one of my favourites. I think it's was at its nadir during that period, but as you'll see, there are some bright lights in the firmament. So, without do I need to say anything more? So this is my top 10, my Gimme 10 for 1982. There are ones that didn't make the cut, which other people have shown. So I thought, well, I'll pick out some things that maybe as people haven't shown. So starting with one that people have shown, Prince, 1999. Not really much to say about it. It was the first album he recorded with the Revolution, and started really a purple patch for the Purple Pixie that would end with Love Sexy, which is probably the last in that run of great albums. Arguably, people might say further or before even. But yeah, this was the album that made it big for him. We had the single Little Red Corvette on it. Great album. And less said about that phallic one, the better, I suppose. So, Prince, 1999. Okay, the next one. Elvis Costello and the Attractions, Imperial Bedroom. I love Elvis Costello. Practically everything he's done. Even string quartets, orchestral pieces, rap albums, everything he's done I like. And this is arguably one of his greatest albums. It was the second album he recorded without being produced by Nick Lowe, and it's actually produced by Geoff Emerick, who was the Beatles engineer. So there's some great songs on here: Beyond Belief, Shabby Doll, Man Out of Time. The song Almost Blue, which didn't appear on the album Almost Blue, because Elvis doesn't like putting songs that have the title of the album, because he feels that it puts too much attention onto that one song. And of course it's written by him and wasn't a country music song. That's probably another reason. And In Every Home. We've got A Boy With a Problem, which the lyrics were written by Chris Difford from Squeeze. But yeah, The Loved Ones, Town Crier, great album. If you haven't listened to it, it is one of his to really savour, I think. Okay, moving on. This is interesting. This is one that Fred put into his Gimme Ten. Nebraska by Springsteen. But it was really interesting watching Fred talking about this, because while he was holding up this album, he was talking about how much he hated Bruce Springsteen. I kind of know what he means. It took me a long time to get into Bruce Springsteen. I had, born in the USA was not the sort of song when I was growing up that I wanted to listen to. Subsequently, of course, you understand maybe actually it's not as clear cut, and actually he's trying to say something political. This is a great album anyway. Legendary recording. He went off to his home and recorded on 4-track. And was going to come back and then record with the E Street Band, which apparently he did. And then they decided that the 4-track recordings sounded better. And then they worked out a way to get the 4-track recordings off the cassette player and be able to master it and all that business. They did a really good job. So legend has it that there is an E Street Band version of this out there. Whether that will ever see the light of day, I don't know. So you got some great tracks on here: Nebraska itself, Atlantic City, Johnny 99, Highway Patrolman. There's a there's an album, I think, by Johnny Cash, which has taken the name Johnny 99, and which he does Johnny 99 and Highway Patrolman, and they're really worth picking out. See if you find them. So yeah, I have to say to Fred, there are some good, some other stuff that Springsteen did before and after this that do kind of match this, I think. And also you've got to remember that a lot of Born in the USA was written during the same demo sessions. So anyway, so give some of his stuff another go. Okay. Now, Grebo69, Graham showed this band's previous album for his Gimme Ten 81, and that was Altered Images. This is Altered Images Pinky Blue. I like that. Yeah, it's their Pinky Blue album. It's I like that. So the major draw here is the gorgeous Claire Grogan, who was absolutely wonderful, still is. And this is a lovely sort of new wavy electro pop album. It's kind of like almost like a female fronted New Order in places. The big hit, I suppose, was I Could Be Happy off this album, which that does sound very inspired by New Order, I think. Yeah, Scottish band, Altered Images. They only did one more album after this before splitting, but yeah, really nice album, that one. Okay, another Scottish band. I haven't seen this one shown yet. Orange Juice, Rip It Up. Now this is the second album that they produced this year. You can't imagine bands doing that these days, can you? So yeah, this was later in the year they produced this one with the hit singles Can't Help Myself and Rip It Up on it. Edwyn Collins fronted the band. Of course, he would go on to do Never Met a Girl Like You Before in the 90s, and unfortunately suffered from a double cerebral hematoma in about 2005, which left him kind of unable to perform, unable to play the guitar, unable to write, found speaking very difficult. There's a film called The Possibilities Are Endless, which chart his recovery, because he made amazing recovery. So anyway, if you seek that out, it's worth watching. So yeah, I really like Edwyn Collins' voice because he has that kind of quite high-pitched, normal sound to it, but he has this wonderful technique of kind of going low at the end of phrases, really sort of a deep baritone, almost sounding like a kind of an Elvis growl to his voice. I like that. So yeah, new wavy poppy, a great pop album, another Scottish band. There you go, Orange Juice. Okay, to the other side of the pond. Here we've got Rank and File. This is their first album, Sundown. Rank and File were a cowpunk band. I mean, I actually think that they could be lumped alongside a lot of the Paisley Underground bands, especially bands like Long Riders, maybe even Jason and the Scorchers. But well, I suppose they're not really part of that movement. But yeah, and it was formed by the Kinman brothers and Alejandro Escovedo, who is the brother of Sheila E., who plays with Prince. Yeah, cowpunky. I think I really like about it is it takes a kind of a western view, so they sound very cowboy-y. I suppose it's cowpunk, isn't it? But yeah, Rank and File, Sundown, really nice album. Another American band, the DBs, Repercussion. This is a bit of jangle pop, kind of new wavy jangle pop, power pop, if you will. A bit of influence of Big Star in there. In fact, Chris Stammy actually played with Alex Chilton for a while, sort of before forming this band. It's interesting that the DB's first two albums were they couldn't get a recording contract in the States, and their first two albums were produced on the Albion British label, which is a bit strange. Yeah, great pop. I'm a real sucker for pop albums. especially guitar jangly pop albums. So these kind of, when I discovered these, you could imagine these almost going in the direction of REM. Similar kind of feel to them a bit. In fact, Peter Holtzapfel, who plays with the DBs, would go on to be a kind of a session player working with REM during the Out of Time tours, and you see him playing with them. So anyway, great album, DBs, Repercussion. Okay, now I saw was it 6-inch pianist 319 John do his pick of this year, and he had the Funboy 3's first album in there, so I didn't put that in, but I thought kind of in a similar kind of vein, it's Musical Youth with the youth of today. Now these are a young group of lads. You'll probably know them best for the hit single which is on this album, called Pass the Dutchie, which was based on an old reggae song called Pass the Cutchie, which was all about the hash pipe. But apparently them changing it to Dutchie was a kind of a pot, a cooking pot. I remember them going on to Swap Shop and seeing them talking about that, with them sniggering and smiling. Anyway, this is a great kind of poppy reggae skanking album. I really like it. It's I mean, I'm not a huge I'm not a huge fan of reggae. I mean, I don't know a huge amount about it, I should say, rather. I do like reggae, but so this is kind of, I suppose, for anyone who's really into reggae, this is reggae light. But it's that poppy kind of thing. And actually, if you listen to some of it, it does sound a little bit like the Two-Tone label releases. So if you like a bit of the Specials, or the Selector, the Beat, with a bit more reggae influence, they're a good band to go for. Incidentally, when they produced the video for Pass the Dutchie, it was they were the first black act to be played on MTV. There you are, Musical Youth, smashing fun album. Okay, so this one is going off on a bit of a tangent. This is the Orchestra Super Mazembe, a Kenyan outfit. This is their album Cove Aska. I don't know a huge amount about them. I know that their sound is a kind of a variation of the Congolese rumba sound that was called what was it, sukus, yeah, and I love these African albums where they have the band sort of just hanging around. I love this guy here. I want to be his friend. I like this guy here. He's amazing. You make these stories for all these people on the back of here. Yeah. So it's. I've never really. I'm a big fan of sort of African musics from all around Africa, but I've never really got on with the Afrobeat stuff like Fela Kuti. I don't know. There's something about that psychedelic kind of element to it that doesn't really appeal to me. But this sort of stuff with the kind of the intricate guitar finger picking, ultimately danceable. Yeah, I like that East African sounds. Really nice. Yeah. So if you ever see that, pick it up. Okay, last one. Here we go. Now here we go. So this is One from the Heart, Tom Waits and Crystal Gale. This is a strange album. It's for the film One from the Heart, which I haven't seen, by Francis Ford Coppola, and this finds him kind of in the middle of a transition. So he's just, well, in 1980 he's released Heart Attack and Vine, and in 83, which I'm sure will appear in many videos in a couple of weeks, was his album Swordfish Trombones. And this catches him on that transition between kind of barroom troubadour, jazz pianist. Of course, the last one was a bit more bluesy. and the Kurt Weill influenced Captain Beefheart-esque crash bang wallop of his later years. And yeah, it's probably one of his lesser albums in his oeuvre, but it's got some lovely stuff on it, some lovely songs, and actually I think that Crystal Gale adds some very nice vocals to it. Hell, I mean, she's the sister of Loretta Lynn. She must have some good pipes on her. Old Boyfriends, Broken Bicycles. I like the song Beg Your Pardon, which is great. Yeah, so there you go. One from the heart, Tom Waits. Okay, so that was my Gimme 10 1982. I may well be back with the 1983. It's interesting. I seem to have more albums from this period. It must be the kind of the real period that vinyl records were probably in the heyday in sort of the album. And by the time I imagine we get to the late 80s, it might be more problematic to find, I suppose, a lot of pop bands that are releasing them. Anyway, I'm talking nonsense now, so I'm gonna stop. So thank you. Bye bye.